Who are some of our favorite sleepers heading into the second half? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Friday, July 14th. I am Frank Samfield, joined by Scott White. And let's go back and forth here, Scotty. Kick us off with one of your sleepers for the second half.
One of my sleepers for the second half is Jonathan Aranda, who got called up by the Rays just before the break, started a couple games, got sent back down. Now he's going to be up for the start of the second half because Yandy Diaz is on paternity leave. Hopefully he finds a way to stick around this time. I think at some point he will. And that's an exciting prospect because Jonathan Aranda himself is an exciting prospect. At AAA this year, he has hit nearly 350, 342 with 16 homers, a 1044 OPS, reaching base at a 455 clip because the plate discipline is so good. And not only is the plate discipline good, but not only those numbers are good, he makes terrific contact too. Like the exit velocity readings, average exit velocity over 91 miles per hour, max exit velocity over 113 miles per hour. This is a guy who genuinely impacts the ball in addition to having those great skill indicators with the bat. So he's just an awesome hitter, Jonathan Aranda. At some point, an opening has to develop here on the Rays roster, even with all the redundancies they have. And when that happens, I think Aranda is going to be a nice pickup for you.
I hope you're right, Scott, because I'm excited about Jonathan Aranda as well. For me, my first sleeper for the second half is Spencer Torkelson, who has hit 228 so far this season with 12 home runs. He's lifting the ball more this year, which is a good thing, and he's hitting the ball really hard. 92nd percentile in average exit velocity, 81st percentile in barrel rate. He's done some nice things at times this season. It just hasn't all clicked together. And I think if Spencer Torkelson can put that together in the second half, we could see some of his best ball yet. He's 65% rostered, could be out there in some shallower leagues. And if you do need a corner infielder in a roto league or something like that, I would take Torkelson ahead of other names like Carlos Santana, Garrett Cooper, Josh Bell, names that we've talked about recently. Scott, you're up next. Another sleeper for the second half.
Nick Lodolo is the choice here. He's been injured for a long time, and normally, the people would just stash him in an IL spot, right? But that hasn't happened so much with Nick Lodolo because he had a 6.29 ERA when he was healthy, a major disappointment. Everybody had targeted him as a breakout pick this year. Good swing and miss stuff on the breaking ball especially, and he had been getting plenty of strikeouts despite that high ERA. He was just giving up tons of home runs. I think it was just growing pains. I think he would have eventually snapped out of it if he hadn't suffered a stress reaction in his leg and missed all this time. I think he's kind of a forgotten man at this point. I think especially now, given the state of the Reds, how they've become obvious playoff contenders, Lodolo could return and make a huge impact down the stretch. Definitely worth stashing away.
All right, next up for me is C.J. Abrams, who has recently moved up to the leadoff spot for the Washington Nationals. And in those very brief 3 games, he had 6 hits and a steal in each one of those games. He's only batting .245 this year, but has 7 homers, 14 steals. That is a 12-homer, 25-steal pace. C.J. Abrams, 43% rostered. Like Torkelson, I think you can use him as a middle infielder. I would take him ahead of names like Javier Baez, Geraldo Perdomo, Zach Geloff, and Edouard Julien. Scott, your final sleeper for the second half.
Going real deep with this one, and guy less than 10% roster, Dane Myers of the Marlins. Sort of like Jonathan Aranda, it's not clear the playing time is going to be there for him, and that's why he's as available as he is. That's what makes him a sleeper. But as of this moment, the playing time is there. He's filling in for Jazz Chisholm in center field. He's been starting every day. This was a complete no-name just a couple weeks ago. 27-year-old career minor leaguer. Got delayed because he started out as a pitcher, converted to hitting later in his career, but hit very well between Double and AAA. A .335 batting average, 13 homers, 956 OPS, and also like Aranda, the exit velocity readings back up the production for Dane Myers. Has hit well so far. Will there be a spot when Jazz Chisholm comes back? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but Myers seems to have the skills to make an impact if he does get the chance.
All right, last name for me is Kenta Maeda, who has allowed just 3 earned runs total in 3 starts since returning from the IL. His overall numbers don't look very good this year, a 5.18 ERA. That is kind of inflated because of a 10 earned run start that he had earlier this season, but the underlying numbers look pretty good. It's a 12.8% swinging strike rate for Kenta Maeda, and he's only 59% rostered, so if you do need a pitcher to add off the waiver wire, I do like Maeda quite a bit for the second half. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.